Hello and welcome to this first ever episode of Chunkbuild. Yeah, this is a new series, guys. My name is Vidargavia, and in this series we are going to look at chunk-sized houses in themes. So what we will do is we'll select a theme, and I will build 3 different chunk-sized houses. And present them in fairly short videos such as these. And what I will also try and do is try and sort of explain how to build them and sort of what is tricky with these houses. And how you can think about things. So, this is the first house. The theme is Asia. And this is a Tibetan house. You can see it as a starter house. It's a house where you live, basically. And what is special about the Tibetan houses is that they are often very plain white, but with boards of hardened clay, or of red boards anyway. And then they have these Asian style roofs that go up towards the edges, but then they have these sections of really colorful walls and pillars and things like that. So that's what we've tried to accomplish here with the exterior. So you can see here around the back, for instance. And so that's one of the things, or some of the things that they have. Now let's have a look at the inside. Coming into this house is kind of an explosion of color, but that's by design. So the idea is that we have quite a calm floor, especially down here actually, with this dark grey concrete. But then we have we have calm walls as well, I should say, white walls. But then we have ceilings and pillars that just explode in color. And also we have curtains on the inside here. And so yeah, these pillars go up and they hold up the upper structure that we have up here. And in this case it's so small that all we can fit is a lamp. But what you do get is when you look at it, when you sort of just pass by, you get that sense of space upwards. To some extent at least. And also it looks cool, and it's an interesting use of the terracotta blocks, and just showing as well they go really well, of course, with the new concrete blocks as well. The house is functional in the sense that there are space for beds, some storage, and some crafting, so you could use this as a starter home. You can also go upstairs to the little balcony area here, although it is really crammed. Alright, so let's talk a bit about the block palette here. Obviously the most prominent thing here is the white. So for that, the base color is the white concrete powder. But to mix it up, we've added some diorite. Now, it's not a perfect match, but you do get used to it, and it sort of symbolizes that the concrete powder has broken down a bit into diorite, and it looks fairly good, I think. Now for the corners and edges we have quartz, and that also goes really well. Now, like you saw before, we have the dark grey concrete or stone bricks as the floor, and obviously the board is the hardened clay, which really contrasts nicely with the white. You could go with red or even pink as well, and I will show you that if you want even more of a contrast. This is the pink. I don't like it as much, it's too blue. The red goes well, I think, if you want a really strong contrast, but in this case, because we have the pillars and the inside is just so colorful, I thought it better to go with a slightly more neutral color. Let's get a block and place it up there. Now, for details, none of these blocks is what I'm trying to say has slabs or stairs except the stone bricks. So for detail, we have woods, we have 2 woods, we have oak, and we have dark oak. Now, really, the dark oak goes very well with this, right? And so that's how we make the windows here. We do that, and that's a window. And the contrast here is massive, but it looks really good. But it would be oppressive if the whole ceiling and roof was made out of that stuff. So we also have the normal oak. And that also goes well with the dark oak, so they sort of complement each other, and it feels seamless. Okay, so the blocks of the pillars are fairly obvious, but it's black concrete, red concrete, orange concrete, and yellow concrete. And then, apart from the black, we have their corresponding glazed terracotta variants somewhere there. And as you can see, the blocks go really well together with their counterparts. But the interesting thing is you can mix and match to get sort of gradients, which is fairly common in Tibetan architecture, traditional Tibetan architecture, I should say. So that's how we make those. Okay, let's look at some of the details of the build. First off is these lamps. They're very simple. It's a fence, a redstone lamp, a lever, and a banner. And this actually idea is from a YouTuber called Magma Musen, so I will leave a link in the description to his video. The way you make these banners is you start with an orange banner. Let's see if we have a crafting bench. Yes, we do. You start with an orange banner and fade it to a gradient to yellow. And then you basically do 2 boards with black. And there you have the banner. And then you just put that on all 4 sides of the lamp. So, like that. And they are a really nice touch, and they actually kind of make this build in some ways, because they really stand out and they feel distinctly Asian. So we have to thank Magma Musen for that. The next detail I want to talk about is the pillars. So we try and base them with something calm, and then we go in a gradient from red to yellow and see how far we get. So in this case, all we do is get to the terracotta blocks. Now you shouldn't be afraid to place the different terracotta blocks next to each other. The patterns don't line up or anything, but the colors do line up or do match. So it's not really a problem. So in this case, we go from black to red to the orange terracotta, and then to the orange concrete, and then further out here to the yellow. And we do the same here. Now there is only one yellow terracotta block, and that is down here. And that's just how the design fell. But really, if this house was bigger, we would use more of that thing, because it's a nice block. The third detail we need to look at is how you build the ceilings. And basically, in this case, I started out by doing this board around, just resting on top of the hardened clay. And then, 2 blocks from the corner, I went out a block, and then up a block, and then up a block. And then you do that on all the sides. For these here, they're a little bit smaller, this roof, so you go down a block, and up a block, and up a block for those. Now, this block here is kind of strange, but it's just to tie in with this line here, so that the roofs feel connected. And you can do this variant as well, where you do this as a full block. But actually, I prefer it like that, I think, even though it looks funny in some ways, from some angles. But I like that you can see half the hardened clay there. The final detail to talk about is something that was actually missing when we started the video. And that is these item frames with sunflowers in them. Now this board looks a bit boring without them, to be honest. And if you look at pictures of houses from Tibet, traditional houses, you can see that they often have these yellow dots lining their boards. And this item frame and sunflower trick is kind of a neat way to simulate that, if you will. And what it does is it really makes the border pop, which I love. So there you have it, guys. The first of these videos in the Chunkbuild series, the Asian themed house. We'll be back shortly, actually, with the next part in this series, and we will continue with the Asian theme, but it's going to be from Mongolia in this next episode. But anyway, for now, guys, if you liked the video, leave a like, leave a comment what you think of this build, and if everything goes according to plan, you will find in the description a link to a world download of this house. So check it out, guys, and you can plant it into your own world. Well, I'll see you next time, guys. Bye-bye!